Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Ayleen, and this is Medicine Walk. And for those who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio with Dr. Ayleen. And it has been just Dr. Ayleen. There's always one little thing I forget. Those who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio. Hold on, there we go. And as it is that we're going to be talking about those things that happen that kind of muck up our day and things that go wrong. Well, there's gifts in it. And by the end of our time together today, I hope you'll be able to recognize those gifts, even when life throws us some little and in some cases not so little curveballs. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Murphy's Law, it is something that is sort of legendary. The idea that the main one is if anything can go wrong, it will, and at the worst possible moment. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Murphy's Law, I would like to share a few. After you bought a replacement for something you've lost and searched for everywhere, you'll find the original. The legibility of a copy is inversely proportional to its importance. A falling object will always land where it will do the most damage. When a broken appliance is demonstrated for the repairman perfectly. If a valuable item falls in a hard to reach place at a distance shorter than the tip of your fingers, as soon as you try to reach it, you'll push it to that distance. If everything seems to be going well, you have obviously overlooked something, or there is something you don't know about. No matter how long and how hard you shop for an item, after you've bought it, it will be on sale somewhere else for cheaper. And the probability of bread falling buttered side down is proportional to the value of the carpet. Often these are, just kind of said in fun and said as jokes, but there are those who kind of look at the world through a sort of a more pessimistic set of glasses. And it can be really hard sometimes to look for the positive things in life when you have things that are just going wrong for you. And if you're in one of those phases, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry you're going through a tough time, and I'm sorry things just seem to be constantly flowing, through your life that are beyond your control and create difficulties. I was driving home last night, and as I've talked, I live way up in the mountains, and I came around a corner and there was a truck coming up, and sometimes if trucks are large and the roads have points when they're not very wide, they tend to swing towards the center. Well, I came around and this one was swinging toward the center. And since I recognize that, those places where that sort of thing tends to happen, I moved off towards the shoulder. I moved, well, all of a sudden I heard something like, and immediately my, tire pressure little blinky light starts blinking. So not far down, I made it up to a turnout where I could park safely, and I look and my tire is completely blown out. So, it's about an hour before sunset and it's starting to get a little bit chilly. And I check my phone and it turns out I'm like down to very little power left. So I keep the engine on, charge up the phone as much as I can. And so I start calling my friends, and a couple of my friends weren't, they didn't answer. And then I tried calling my son because I knew he'd have to come up from the valley, but I figured, well, he can come up and help me out. And so, yeah, guess who's signing up for AAA? So one of my friends who I had tried calling, my son said, well, as soon as he gets home from work, he'll get the car and, he'll borrow his dad's car and come up because he takes the bus. So during that time, one of my friends called me, and he said that he had left his phone in the car, and he didn't even realize that I had called, and something in his mind said, hey, go look for your phone. So he saw that I called, and he was already up the mountain, so it was less time for him to come down. So I called my son, said, don't worry about it, I'm fine. And so my friend shows up, and the problem was that, I mean, I am a woman, hear me roar. I was going to change the tire myself. And I noticed that the what is it, lug nut wrench, I guess they would call it, the little thing with the little hexagon thing on the end. Well, it wouldn't fit on it. And I thought, well, that's weird. Why wouldn't it fit over the lug nuts? So my friend came and he brought his, and it didn't fit. And so we were both wondering, what the heck? What's going on? So he had AAA, so he called, and and it's getting darker and darker, and I'm starting to think, wow, yeah, we do have a mountain lion issue. This is not happy times. And all I could think about was, seriously, I'm exhausted. I don't need this. This is something that has gone totally wrong. I should have been home by now. And as my friend was standing there, and I was thinking, wow, how lucky I am that he was home, that he was able to, I mean, because when I told him I was in trouble, he just, jumped in his car and he came to take care of me, and he was able to stay with me. And, and in fact, where we were at, where my car was at, there was like no signal, but if he walked like 10 feet away, no. And so we were able to get somebody up, and it took a little while for the person to get there. I mean, anybody who's called for roadside service, you're going to wait a little while. But the person got there, and it turned out that when I had my tires replaced at one point, they put lug nuts that were these, they call them locking, and it means that nobody can steal your rims. But, he goes, well, you should have only had one of these, and it's got all four. And anyway, that leads to a whole new discussion, which some people at a tire center are really going to hear about themselves as soon as I'm done with this. But as we were standing there and waiting, and I was thinking about how lucky I was to, that my friend Daryl was there. And Daryl, if you're watching, mwah, and, just really appreciate everything that you did for me. And the fact that, a woman pulled off, and she asked if we were okay. And I thought, wow, how nice, that this lady, a total stranger, pulled off and wanted to make sure that we were all right. And, that's happened to me before, this ain't my first rodeo, having to pull off on the mountain. But each time, people they want to make sure that we're all right. And so it was really nice to, stand there and think how lucky I am that I have people who care about me, people who will be there for me. And the guy was able to get the tire changed, and, got the little donut temporary tire on it. And then my friend Daryl followed me, all the way to where I live to make sure I'd be okay. And as irritated as I was about certain aspects of what happened, I was so warmed in my heart by the fact that I knew that this was someone who I could call on for about anything, because I know that, there were times when he was having some trouble that I was there for him. And I mean, ultimately, that's what we do as friends. That's what we do to take care of each other. And finding out how much you mean to somebody, usually it only happens when that worst case scenario happens. When everything is going great, we don't really think about it. We don't consider how much we mean to people until something happens and we really need someone there for us. And, that's also the time when you figure out who are the people who you really can count on. And that in itself is a gift. That is a gift of clarity. And it may not be a bad person. It just may not be the type of person who, can say, oh, okay, well, let's get this fixed. Maybe it's somebody who's not quite so reliable. They're very sweet, but they're just not very reliable. And they care about you, but not to that, hey, I've got a real problem here. I need your help. And when, I had left a message there, and Daryl answered and said, it's like, hey, where are you? I'm on my way. And when you're off by the side of the road and it's getting dark and, you can't change your own tire, there is something that is very special when you hear the words, I'm on my way. I'll be right there. And that I consider a very huge gift. I consider it a reminder how much we are communal creatures, and how when we have community backing us up. And the thing is, I know that, people who I know through the church and people who I know through my work, and honestly, there are very few that I can think of who wouldn't be there in some way for me. And when I think about that, I think about and how I got here because of the help of my friends, because there were people who believed in me, because there were people who said, hey, you can do this. You can move forward. You can do a YouTube show. You can do a radio show. And I really appreciate them. And even if it's people who I don't see too much of, at least at this point, it's still so important to me that they know how much I appreciate them. I mean, my dear sister, my chosen sister, my sister from another mother. I've actually got a few of them. One, Michelle, who taught me about YouTube and doing, these types of things, and who encouraged me. And not just encouraged me, she showed me how to do stuff, but she wanted to make sure I knew how to do it myself. And while, her life got very busy and, taking care of her beautiful son and, and taking care of her husband and, for doing some of the things that she needs to do, I really, really hope she understands, how much I truly appreciate and how much I know that I am where I am because of the help that she gave me, the help that you gave me, Michelle. I so appreciate you for that. And, and while schedules and stuff have us, sort of floating around in different spaces, know that you never leave my heart, and that, we will get back together and connect up, because that's important, that the people that you care about know that. My sister Kaina, who I've known since our kids were young, and who, if I said that I needed a dress made out of blue yak hair, within a couple of hours, she'd be sending me links to blueyakhairdress.com. And she'd be asking me, it's like, okay, I found one floor length, I found one formal, I found one casual. This one has, short sleeve, this one has long sleeve. And she has an amazing ability to find things and to help me out with things. And when I first started out, it was, so important to have her there to kind of help with logistical type of stuff. I really appreciate you. And, all the people who are here at the church, and I'm not going to start like naming people, because I will more than likely forget somebody, and I don't want anybody to feel bad, but know that each and every one of you, in all the times that, when I've been going through a really hard time and I needed support, I needed the support of a community, you were there for me, and I totally appreciate that. And it's just amazing, the people who are so important to me, that I know that if I need their help, I can ask for it. And the people who, who know that they can call me and ask me for help. And the people who are there for me. And it's just, if it weren't for those things that went wrong, I wouldn't know how much I mean to them. If it weren't for things going wrong in their life, maybe they wouldn't know how much they mean to me. and how much I want to be there for them, and to be here for you too. Maybe sitting in my office and looking into a camera. And I know that you're out there. I know that you're present with this, and I so appreciate, you watching and sharing this time with me and allowing me to share this time with you. And it's my deepest wish that if something is going on in your life, something wrong, that maybe something I say can help it a little bit, can, gentle the path that you're on. I mean, nothing makes everything easy, because it's not the nature of life and learning to have everything be easy. But what we can do is we can embrace what it is that we deal with, look for the opportunities that we have to learn, look for the growth, where we can grow in it, look for the lesson, look for the gift. There's an old joke, I don't know if I've shared it before, that some parents had a child who they thought was way too optimistic. So they wanted to teach the child that sometimes you don't get what you want, sometimes you get disappointed. And they wanted the child to face disappointment. It's like, weird, really? How could you want your child to face disappointment? But they felt it was important. So on Christmas Day, they just put a huge pile of manure in front of the tree. Figured that the child would come down and be disappointed and would learn that things don't always work out. Squealed in delight and, grabbed a little shovel and began shoveling through the pile of manure. And when his parents asked what he was doing, he said, with all of this manure, there's got to be a pony under here. So by accepting the things that may seem to go wrong, there may be something in it that is meant to bring you enlightenment, empowerment, to help you understand someone a little better. And if you're a person who routinely spends their time taking care of other people, sometimes when those things go wrong and we need help and we need to be taken care of, it's really nice to actually be the one to receive. It's nice to be the one that, because I just kept apologizing last night, and it's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And he just said, hey, no need for apologies. When somebody does something for you and does not require, any acknowledgement or anything, that is like, no, hey, no, I'm glad to do this for you. I'm glad to be here for you. That is beautiful. It is wonderful. It's amazing. And it allows us to be able to connect with each other in such a wonderful way. Because we all, I think, have at least that one person who we know that we can call on, who we know is going to be there for us, who we know in our hearts is going to be, that go-to person that we recognize as, our knight in shining armor, or just that buddy who's going to be that lifeline. It's important to recognize them and to know them, and that they know that you're going to be there for them too. Like I said, if you're going through something really hard, I'm sorry. I honestly am. And I don't mean to have it come across like, oh, well, everything that happens that goes wrong in your life, you shouldn't be bothered by, or, you should see the gift in it. Because when you're in it, it's tough to see the gift. When you're in it, it's really hard to go into that place of oh, well, it's all for a higher purpose, and all of that. Sucks, honestly. And I have a saying that life is fun until it isn't, and it sucks until it doesn't. And how long it sucks has a lot to do with the story that we attach to it. I could have sat out there, and when, my friend came to help me out, I could have just sat there and complained nonstop about all the things that had been irritating me and about this and about that. And if I had done that, I think I would have missed that moment when I realized that I had someone taking care of me. I had someone who went out of his way just for me, to be there for me. And then I might not have thought of the fact that, you know what, there's a bunch of people that if they could have gotten to me, they would have. They would have been there for me. And that often makes me feel a lot better. It makes me be able to shift out of it sucks until it doesn't. And then I realize once I appreciate the gifts that I didn't notice it sucked, then, the time where it sucks a lot less, and it's a lot shorter. I'm able to transition out of that feeling of, wow, all these lousy things and irritating and inconvenient things happen. Then I realize, wow, I am really loved. I'm really looked after. I have companionship in this world. I have those who look out for me as much as I look out for them. And, it's important that we get those reminders every once in a while. So maybe that's a part of the reason that things go wrong. Maybe that's a part of the reason that it's kind of lined up that every once in a while, everything goes haywire. But, it's difficult, it's tough, but it's not impossible to get through. And often we're able to get through things with a little help from our friends, just like the song says. We get by with a little help from our friends. And when I have opportunities to really stop thinking about the things that are bothering me and thinking about all the ways that I get protected, all the ways that, it could be as simple as, I find a $20 bill in a pocket that went through the laundry, or I need help with something and someone's like right there to present a solution. It's always something that amazes me, how quickly something can shift when someone does something for you. And if we let go of the thing that is irritating and go, okay, this is lousy, this is not what I want, this is causing me discomfort, this is, even if it's breaking my heart, because there have been things out there that have broken my heart and people who have broken my heart. But for every one person who's broken my heart, I can't even count the people who have been kind to me, who have been there when I needed them, without asking for anything for themselves. When I think about the times that didn't work out in my favor, I think about all the times that the perfect thing happened at the perfect moment. And if I really start to look at how often those things happen, I have to say that I find myself blessed more often than I find myself challenged. And yet those challenges can be big. I may have had fewer challenges than blessings, but sometimes those challenges were pretty intense. Sometimes those challenges meant, having to be able to live without somebody who meant a lot to me. Maybe it was, when my mom passed, and my dad, and my sister. Yeah, those were big challenges. And, at the time it was very hard to see, the light at the end of the tunnel. Or as our friend Murphy would say, the light at the end of the tunnel is the headlamp of an oncoming train. And all I saw was the oncoming train. And it took me a while to recognize that, you know what, it's not as bad as it could be. And as long as I know that I have people out there who love me, who will drop everything for me, because there are people out there who I am there for and who I will drop everything for. And that when I show up, they look at me with that big smile saying, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you came. And that's what it's all about. It's about us being there for each other. And yeah, it's about sometimes crappy things are going to happen, just because in life, sometimes crappy things happen. And they can be a reminder that we're not alone. They can be a reminder that we are a part of something so much bigger. Every one of us matter to somebody. And more than likely, we matter to way more people than we realize. And even though we never met, you matter to me. And I really want you to be as happy as you can possibly be. And when those hard times come, please remember that if nothing else, that I care and I'm here. And if you want to reach out to me, you can do so through Twitter. You can connect with me through my Facebook group, Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen. You can reach me through my office website, the-healing-house.com. There's lots of ways for you to reach out. You can leave a comment. I love it when people leave comments. So yeah, sometimes things go wrong. And there are amazing gifts that come with being able to work with it, being able to sit with it, and remembering that help is only a call away, that somebody's waiting for you to reach out and let them know you need help, because they'll be there for you, just like you'll be there for them. That's one of the most amazing, awesome things about being human, is that we can be able to shift the whole perspective of a person just by an act of kindness, just by an act of attention. So don't worry. When things go wrong, there are gifts in it. All you have to do is be willing to find them, be willing to look. So thank you for joining me. And as I said, you can like this video if it resonated with you. You can share it if you feel that somebody else might benefit from it. You can comment, and if you comment or ask me a question in the comments, I will be very, very happy to respond. And for those who are on Blog Talk Radio, you can contact me through Blog Talk Radio. You can comment, you can message me. If there's a topic that you would like me to cover, then I'll be happy to. If there's something in particular going on in your life that maybe you're having a little bit of trouble finding balance with, I'm always here to listen. And if you reach out, I will reach back. So thank you. Oh, and subscribe. I would really, really love to reach 1,000 subscribers. If everybody who's on the Facebook group, if each person were to click subscribe, then we would be over halfway there, actually. So subscribe and suggest to a friend that they subscribe. Certain stuff that opens up once you get like 1,000 subscribers. Why that's a magic number, I don't know. But I think it'd be cool. And so thank you. Thank you for being here. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much for that. And if you haven't, please consider it. If you would like to sponsor me, then I do have a Patreon account. So you can just look up Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen on patreon.com, and you can do a monthly sponsorship. But even if you just watch it and appreciate it, that means a lot to me. So thank you. And as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings. from my heart to yours. Love you. Bye. See you next week.